Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So let's begin with the topic for today, which is the constellation of Gemini. So first of all, to remind you, everyone, that I am not talking about the Gemini people. I am just talking about the concept of Gemini. What it represents in the sky, what it represents for every one of us, and what it represents for the Gemini that we all have within, because we all share this information of the 12 signs. So also to remind you that that even if some people relate to the explanations of the signs, I'm not describing the people, because some of you may can say, perhaps you can say, don't generalize, because we are not all like that. And yes, I know that, because every person has a different astrological chart, many different perceptions and different planets and different aspects of every sign. So of course, every person is totally different, even if you are different ages, you would be affected more by one sign than the other. So sometimes we cannot even feel sometimes the sun sign. Okay, so if I say things about Gemini right now, as all the rest of the signs, we'll be just talking about the archetype of Gemini, not about the person who was born in Gemini. Okay, so as I was saying in Spanish, today remember that this Gemini is related to the throat chakra. Throat chakra. So it's perfectly related because it is the communication, the one that speaks, that talk, that relates with the words. So it's perfectly related to what we have to do today. So Gemini is the physical aspect of the trinity of air. So Gemini is the physical aspect of the trinity of air. This means that it's the one that manifests. Is the one that manifests the mind of Aquarius, that is balanced in the scale of Libra, finding harmony. So the only way the air can manifest is by communication. Gemini manifests through communication the information of these other two. So Aquarius is expanding this mind of ideas, and Libra finds symmetry and harmony between these polarities in order to be able to catch the creation of this mind. So it gets this balance, and then Gemini will be able to communicate these two parts, this duality. So it connects both of them, so they can relate one another, and they can be able to manifest something. So the idea of the air would be that if Aquarius is the networks, and we are all a network, in order for this to work really as a network and not as a structural or pyramidal idea of system, what this network needs is to find balance in between each one of the nodes of this network. And the most important thing that this network needs in order to work is communication between the nodes. So the interaction of information between these different parts of a net is the one that makes a network work. So that's why it's so important, that communication. It's important to understand that even if now we are entering in the Aquarius time, Aquarius is something that expands, that is free. So if we want to build a society for this new era, we should not only think as Aquarius, we should remember that Aquarius is only the spiritual idea, the ideal of this era. But it's not just that era, it's a part of a trinity, it's the spirit of a being that we call the air. So the only way in which we can be able to create the ideal of Aquarius in this new time is if we find the balance within ourselves, in between the different parts, and we communicate these parts, calling ourselves as brotherhood. We have to become brothers and sisters, siblings that can communicate constantly to each other. This is the only way we can really manifest. This means that Gemini is the body, because we are living in the third dimension. We are living in the third dimension. So the aspect to make Aquarius work is Gemini. So when we have been speaking about how to manifest this new reality, we have to remember that the main thing to do is to communicate better, because the word is the one that creates. The way in which we are going to be able to manifest Aquarius in our reality is through the positive aspects of Gemini, which is to speak, to express what we have within, to recognize what we are, and to share it with others, to spread the word. Because as we have been speaking in the first month, the thing that created everything is the word, the sound, the vibration. So the vibration is the one that creates and manifests realities. So what you say can become reality. So this is why Gemini is so important, to be in balance, so we can manifest this reality by talking. So Gemini is one of those constellations that we can see from every part of the world. It's a tropical constellation. So because of this, this constellation was representing something that happened to many of the civilizations and cultures that were living through the years in this planet. So the history of the constellation of Gemini is bounded by two big stars of this constellation, this zodiac sign, that are the stars that we call today Castor and Pollux. These two names are the names of two brothers that were brothers from the same mother, but from different fathers. The mother was Lena, and the fathers were, of one of them, of Pollux, was the god Zeus, and for Castor was the king of Sparta. So this means that Castor was mortal and Pollux was immortal, was a god. This This story tells that these two brothers, they loved each other so much, a lot, and that they lived many stories all together. They fought together in wars and battles, and they do many adventures, and they love each other so much that they couldn't be apart from each other. But of course, Castor was mortal, so in one of the battles, he was harmed and he died. Because of this, Pollux couldn't stand that truth, so he asked to Zeus, his dad, to kill him and to make him mortal, so he could go to the Hades to the underworld to live with his brother. Or he asked, is he able to come to the Olympus with us? So Zeus decided to take both brothers and made them into stars. And that's why we have these two big stars called Castor and Pollux in the skies. That's the story from the Greek tradition. But of course, if you read the Egyptian tradition, they will speak that these are two brothers and siblings, a brother and a sister, that they were living together all the time, representing the positive and the negative, the skies and the earth, both positions as unity, like if they were one. The integration of the duality. So for the Asian tradition, these two stars will represent the yin and the yang, which is the positive and the negative. So now about the history of why we call that Gemini. This has a relation with what we have been speaking in Libra about the exchange. Remember that we were exchanging by the weight of the things, but there is a moment when we have to go and look for these products to be able to exchange them. Okay, so that is something that we call the market, the fairs, the places where of celebration where the people go and sell, buy, exchange, share different things. Okay, so that moment was after the Taurus constellation. In Taurus, they prepare the earth, they prepare the ground, they sow the first seeds, they had the first products. So what they did after that was going into these kind of fairs, into these kind of gatherings where different tribes and different people, different villages come together to share in this market and to sell, to sell, to buy, to exchange things, to share things, and so on. But not only food or products for the fields, they also start to share information, because people from different parts, they came teaching new words, new ideas. The kids starts to play with different things, with different kids from different villages, friends that has been years without seeing it, or months without seeing them each other. They get together again and they start to share and play and celebrate and laugh and so on and so on. So the communication in between different people that are very different from one another, they start to get together, to join in one same spot, to share, to have fun, and to learn new things. So this is why when that happened, with those gatherings were happening in the beginning of the summer, the people knew that these stars were in the sky. So that's why they related that time with Gemini, which is different brothers that are very different from each other. They get together and they love each other. They are like one. So as you have seen now, the symbol of Gemini is the balance between the positive and the negative. These two stars, Castor and Pollux, that tries to balance both sides. The ancient symbol with which we know Gemini is this symbol here. The one we call yin and yang. So when we speak about yin yang, we usually have this misconception about what this symbol really means, because we used to say that the white is the good one and the black is the bad one. So we used to say everything that is good has something bad on it, everything that is bad has something good on it, and that's the symbol. But that's not very yin yang. That's more racist in such a way. So as just to make it clear of why we believe that black is bad and white is good, is something that we have to understand from the very beginning. Okay, from the very beginning, we have to remember that for us, the night, which is darkness, is really a bad thing, because in the night we don't know what is going to kill us. We don't know what is going to, what is going to be there trying to kill us. Like we're animals and we cannot see properly and so on. So that's why we relate the black things, the night, the darkness, with these weird animals that we create in our minds, like demons and monsters and so on. So that's what we start to create with this. And also the rotten food used to get black, so something that can kill us if we eat it, maybe we can die. Okay, so in our subconscious, through thousands of years, we started to create the idea that the black is bad. And then we created the idea of the white being good, because during the day, with the light, with the colors, with the sun, we were able to see, we were able to reach clarity, we were able to understand what are the foods that makes us good, and we can handle the light. That's why we started to relate to everything that is white or with colors, that was something good, and the dark, the black is something bad. And of course, later they started to relate that with the people. So they started to say that by the logics of thousands of years, they thought, okay, so bad, so the black people is bad and the white people is good, and that it's one of the misunderstandings of these two colors, that is not related to bad or good. So yin yang is not representing the good things and the bad things. The yin yang is representing the manifested and the unmanifested. Is representing the everything and the nothing. Okay, that's what is representing this symbol. Not good, no bad. It's manifested and unmanifested. Okay, so what this means really is that everything that exists and is limited, manifested in this reality, has within a part, a tiny part, that is illimitated, that doesn't have any limits. So it's able to transform in anything, even if it is already limited by the outside. And in the other side, everything that is infinite has the potentiality to manifest and create something. It's like the dreamer and the dream. It's like the artist and the art of that artist. This is why this symbol is not about two different concepts against each other. This is speaking about a concept of two different things that complement each other, that need each other in order to exist. We could say that these two are the stars, Castor and Pollux. So we could say that Castor is the star here that is hugged by its brother Pollux, which is the unmanifested. And here, Pollux, the unmanifested one, is surrounded and hugged by the spirit of its brother Castor. So both of them are holding each other to manifest, to create. So this is the most important key of Gemini, the communication of two opposite parts. So the task of Gemini is to help us find a bound, a communication between the manifested and the unmanifested, between the feminine and the masculine, between the positive and the negative. So remember, these are not opposite concepts that are speaking about a war against the good and the bad, the woman and the man. It's not separated. Both are only one being creating the whole. So now something happened, that Gemini is able to love both sides because it's everything. Gemini is everything. So Gemini can be in the manifested and the unmanifested, in the visible and the one that is shown, equally. It can feel and perceive the reality either side. It doesn't matter. The inner aspect, the outer aspect is the same. So Gemini is a really good master into communicate what is within and what is outside. Gemini is the concept of I understand what is inside of me, and I can communicate what is within into the outside, and I can communicate what is outside in the within. I have a good communication between both sides. And because it's so easy for the Gemini aspect to communicate between the things that are hidden within and the things that are shown outside, it doesn't matter which person you put in front of a Gemini, it will find a way to speak in the same language, to communicate with all the people, because it's easier for them to position itself in either side. And what is the concept, the negative concept of Gemini because of this? That because Gemini is so easily transformed by the energy of everyone that is outside, because it can be either side, and to transform in anyone that person is talking to, that this person forgets who it really is. Its ability to become the other in the communication makes very easy for it to forget who it is. It loses the center because it tries to be nice with the other. So it comes a moment for a Gemini that is so easy to mutate into one to another that both sides become like kind of masked, and it can change constantly from one side to another. So they start to forget who they really are. So this energy makes the Gemini people, or the Gemini concept, very bipolar. And what is bipolar? It means that it has two poles, two different poles, which means that this concept, the Gemini concept, is something that it can't decide for one attitude, for one point of view, because for them everything is possible. All the postures are real. So that's why they don't really know which one to pick. The civilization that we have today is very related to Gemini, because never in history we have lived in a civilization that was so connected. Everyone is connected constantly, all the time. We can talk to each other, we can send messages, we can post things. Everything is totally connected all the time. It's interconnectivity constantly. So that's very Gemini. But also, what we do in this civilization is to take the bad part of Gemini. We do everything, faking things, just to be accepted by others, not being ourselves. So one of the concepts of Gemini of this time would be concentrated in Facebook, for example, because the goal is not to be yourself, the goal is to have many friends, as many as possible. This is why this civilization is so related with Gemini, because we are beginning a new era that is called Aquarius. And if we are in this new era, in the third dimension, we can manifest Aquarius through Gemini. So if we don't go through the process of communication and interact each other to learn how to be all communicated, we cannot live in the Aquarius time. We need to learn how to communicate as Gemini. So we have to go through the wrong process of Gemini to learn about it, to manifest that. And what I am saying is not judging what we are living in the society today, because sometimes we can speak about this like if, oh my God, we are living the negative aspect of Gemini, we have to get rid of it and to heal that and so on. But no, we should not do that. We should not think that we are living the bad things. We are learning. And when you learn, you make mistakes. And the civilization is making mistakes because we are learning. So right now, we are like brothers fighting each other and making big mistakes in the communication because we need to learn how to communicate. That's why we make mistakes. It's like when we are kids and we have siblings and we fight for one toy. Eventually, we will recognize that we have to share the toys, but in order to get to that, we have to go through the process. There's no process of apprehension without mistakes. So everything is fine. We are just learning. We are a civilization of siblings trying to learn how to communicate to one another and learn how to live without masks. So we will talk about the opposite, of course, eventually, but of course that the opposite side, which is the complementary side, is Sagittarius. And Sagittarius in the other side of Gemini is the one that says, if there is a conflict between two people, Sagittarius just disappears. It just laughs a little bit and makes some smoke and runs away. that's the way of Sagittarius, instead of stay and speak and talk.